Welcome to Seat Time, everybody. Brian Pierce here. Typically, as always, your host for Seat Time. We're going to do an episode 66 this fine evening, I believe December 4th. It's December, holy crap, 2012. So, episode 66. Actually, Seat Time. What is Seat Time? SeatTime.co. That's the website where you can find out all about Seat Time. We're on Twitter. SeatTime_CO is our Twitter handle, and as well we're on Facebook, facebook.com/SeatTime. Get that stuff out the way. That's where you can find us if you want to hit us up. We're on Instagram, all that fun stuff. It's Seat Time. Now, we have to tell you as well, very proud to announce there's some big things coming ahead with some new sponsors for 2013. Show might get bigger, show might get better. I don't know, it might get worse. Hopefully it's just the same. But we do have to say thank you very much to Fly Racing for their sponsorship of this episode. We'll talk a little bit about more of their products later. But the real reason we're here to talk about as much off-road news stuff that we can figure out since we're in the off-season. If we had race results, we'd talk about race results. We don't have too many right now, but the good thing is we got a lot of rumors floating around. We got a lot of team announcements, a lot of fun stuff to talk about. So one of those guys, I like to bring in different people, different hosts that are running their little websites out there in the world, going through a lot of this off-road news. I leave it to them to aggregate all that for me. We talk about it. We have fun. So the person that I've picked up this evening for shits and giggles because he is sexy as all get out is Mr. Daniel Engle from Offroad Viking. So I would like to ask you, Mr. Engle, how is your evening going, kind sir?
It is going splendid. And I know you're a huge KTM fanboy. You talk about it a lot. So, because of that.
What? The KTM beauty in the house.
Rocking the KTM beat.
Are you going to get in trouble
Not
for
going to
that?
happen very long because I am a Yamaha fanboy,
Right?
but in honor of Brian Pierce,
I
there
like
is.
it, man. Do
And
you feel
it's
like
gone.
you have lost a little bit of yourself?
What was it again? I didn't hear
Do you
you.
feel like you have just lost a little bit of yourself with that transition?
Yeah, we're going to put the fly hat on and represent those guys.
I got no issues there. Obviously, they're great supporters of Seat Time, great supporters of Offroad Viking. You gotta love those guys doing great stuff in the off-road world. But this isn't an ad. This is Seat Time. We're talking about all kinds of fun stuff that's going on. So, a weird introduction that was brought up. Is that a train? Are we listening to a train?
I have totally lost you with the audio, man.
I just heard a train. I don't know. Are you there?
Yeah. You hear the train? Yeah, that's down the road.
But
from
that's
me.
real. That wasn't like fake, was it?
I'm getting the audio's in and out right now. Sorry.
But that's okay. If you can hear me, the train was real.
Okay. All right.
The train was real.
All right, we're good now. And we're not.
That's
good
okay.
again. Let me try something real
We're
quick.
going to try something really quick. I'm going to stay live for a second while he tries to figure this stuff out. That's okay. So, I think I just heard a train, which was kind of interesting. I knew that Daniel Engle was out in the middle of nowhere, but that really kind of signifies the fact that he is out in the middle of nowhere. While he tries to figure out what's going on, we'll see if we can get it, we'll see if we can't. We know we had a lot of issues. Brian Elliott getting dropped before. What did I do? I rambled on, I figured it out, we kept moving. We're going to figure it out, we're going to keep moving. It's going to be fun. Okay, so what are some of the things that we like to talk about? We like to talk about rumors, we like to talk about big news, all that kinds of stuff. Well, one of the things that I also like to talk about is what has been going on in the world. One of the things is the weekend chatter. We just had round 3 of the Toro series this past weekend. It was in Tonga, Texas, which for those of you who have absolutely no idea where that is, which I didn't either for a while, it's just south of Canton, Texas. It's been unfortunately very dry here in Texas, so what we've been getting is absolutely no moisture. And it was a complete dust bowl, and it was ragged out like crazy. I actually did race again in the heavy A class. Sucked royally. Haven't ridden in a long time. Decided to go race. Arms were blown out. It was horrible. So it sucked for me. What do you think over there, Daniel? You got it figured out or no? That's still a negative? That's okay. He's still trying to figure it out. I did notice that I think I can hear myself, so while you're trying to figure it out, if you can turn me off on your end. If nothing else. No? That's okay. We'll figure it out. But, so, that was one of the things that was going on. Was it fun? Yeah, I mean, I got to go out and ride my dirt bike and see a bunch of buddies. That was cool. But, beyond that, I don't really know. I think I would have preferred to save money and stayed home. So, we'll see. And I'm getting in some comments here, like, really bad? So it's okay. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to host here, produce, and also fix troubleshoot at the same time. So we'll figure it out. We'll see what happens. But so what am I drinking right now? Well, of course, I'm using my Seat Time Pint glass to make things ever classy as I can. And then I had a farmhouse ale that I was taking part in a little bit ago. I just saw some thumbs up, so we're going to get back in a second. But of course, I've got this fine little leprechaun cider I'm going to go to in a little bit, fill up the Seat Time Pint glass. So I think I got a thumbs up. We're going to go. I don't know how good of a job I might have done just trying to save anything, but at the same time, that's okay. We didn't have anything to lose. You know what was happening? That was all planned. It's the way it's supposed to go. So, Mr. Engle, what have you been up to, kind sir, throughout this past weekend? What have you been prepping in the world of you?
Really, the last week or so, we've kind of stepped back, took a little break from the website. As you'll notice, or some people might notice if they ever go to the site, that the content has been down this week. We just kind of been a long year, taking a little bit of time off, but getting ready to fire things back up and get back at it.
I like that. I like that. Get back at it. I'm actually typing that right now because it was such a good statement. So we did have a lot of fun news that was coming out this past week. You guys might have been... It sucks because one of the things that I realize is that whenever I try to take a break and maybe take a week off or, not update anything on my website, that's always when all the crazy crap hits the fan. And I'm like, where am I right now? I'm absolutely nowhere. I'm not being able to update anything. And it kind of sucks. So it's some big news in the fact that we had quite a few teams and some riders be announced with their teams this past week. One of the big things was with 2013 for KTM. They announced their 6-man team, and Husaberg announced their 2-man team for some of the off-road series that they take part in. So that was some pretty big news. We got Mike Brown, Maria Forsberg on the enduro cross scene. Mike Brown obviously is going to take part in just about everything because that's what Mike Brown does. Kirk Caselli, Ivan Ramirez, again, kind of taking part in a little bit more of the West Coast stuff, probably Baja specifically. And then Charlie Mullins and Stuart Baylor that's that beer, in the enduro GNCC, kind of more East Coast off-road stuff. Mike Lafferty, Russell Bobbitt going to Husaberg. Well, obviously Lafferty staying there, and then Bobbitt going there. That was a lot of chatting. So I have my opinions. I want to know yours first, and then we will figure out a way to create chaos out of nothing.
Cool. And what opinions do you want on KTM?
Yeah, go ahead. Give me what you think about KTM.
Oh, man, I just lost your audio again. One more time.
What do you think about KTM?
Oh, okay. Man, they put together a powerhouse team for 2013. No surprise, really. I mean, Mullins, Caleb, Stu, you get Caselli, Ivan, Brown, and Maria. I mean, dude, it's unreal that KTM's able to put that many riders under a factory tent. Then with the Husaberg efforts bringing Lafferty and Bobbitt along, I mean, KTM's going to be a force to be reckoned with for 2013, no doubt.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting the way I've tried to figure out exactly the Husaberg KTM deal. It seems like Husaberg is Husaberg, KTM is KTM, but they do have kind of like an overlapping umbrella. And I do know that there are certain people like Auntie that run both teams, and Christy that kind of helps out with both of those teams. So it's interesting how their dynamics, if you will say. So Russell Bobbitt, who was on the KTM team for quite a few years up till now, is now being, I don't know if you want to call it shuffled, moved over, put on, or just being hired by Husaberg for the 2013 team to join Mike Lafferty. Mike Lafferty has been on the Husaberg team for quite a while now, riding their 4-strokes. Obviously, they're still their 2-strokes. Bobbitt's a 2-stroke guy. They've been, and Husaberg's been touting the fact that they are the pure enduro bike. And so I would think if they're coming back to 2-strokes, they're introducing the 125. I don't think either of those guys are going to ride one of those bikes, but it makes sense to have both of those 2-stroke guys on their bikes. I'm very glad to see Baylor picking up a full-time ride. If KTM would have let him go, that would have been absolutely ridiculous. But I kind of hesitant to say powerhouse. I don't know. Like, powerhouse is a good word, but KTM's the biggest player right now, and I don't know if that's good, bad, or if I should be indifferent to that. But they definitely have collected a mass amount of riders over there under their tent, as she said.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess I see what you're saying, how it could be bad, but they're the only guys really putting that much effort into off road. So really, if there's anything bad, it's the fact that the other teams aren't doing something similar. Yamaha and out here on the East Coast and GNCC, Yamaha being the only other real factory effort, even though it's not technically factory. But yeah, I see what you're saying. That could be bad, but I think it's at least KTM's still investing in the sport and they're pro riders. So I think that's a good
Yeah.
thing.
I think it's hard sometimes because I'm such a KTM fanboy. I really am. Obviously, a huge Kurt Caselli fan as well. Got to meet him at the ISDE. Still have to talk about it because it's awesome. I look forward to seeing if Baylor even not only is he going to continue to grow, but now that he has full factory support and going to be completely under the tent this year, what can he do now? Is it going to be bigger, better? And what bike did he pick? I know he was testing the 450s, 350s, 300s, 250s, all that kinds of stuff. Charlie Mullins, he just had a kid, had kind of an off year. How's he going to come back on the East Coast? I don't know. What do you think about those two guys? How do you think that they're going to par up for next year?
I think as far as Baylor's concerned, I think I've heard he's going to be on the 252 stroke again. So I really don't see, obviously he's going to have a learning curve, but Stu showed this year that he could run up front in the overall from row 2. He's led the overall a couple of times and finished on the podium a few times this year. So I don't think that Stu's got too much of a learning curve as you see some guys that come from XC2 to XC1. I think will he win a championship next year? Probably not, just because, well, I don't know. He may, but not taking anything away from him. But there's
a big learning curve,
some heavy talent in XC1.
Sure, yeah.
But then with Mullins, that dude's a beast. I mean, he'll come out this year or in 2013 and yeah, I could see Mullins, capturing the championship for next year easy. So, but yeah, both of those guys are going to be tough in 2013, no doubt about it.
Interesting. I think it's good to see that they've got Mike Brown back. You can't not like Mike Brown. He's a really cool dude. Then Maria Forsberg. We got to talk with both of those guys different times for our interviews. Absolutely the coolest people. They're really, really nice. Haven't had a chance to talk with Ivan Ramirez, but Kurt Caselli, like I said, met him in person, did an interview with him. Super cool dude. KTM has got just a plethora of nice people underneath their tent. Looking forward to the 2013 year. And by no means, this isn't really like a show where we could talk about whatever we want for 2013. We can go into that. But, we could. I was just kind of thinking about the KTM type squad, so then the Hustenberg type squad, things like that. If we wanted to delve into that, we could. Obviously, there are going to be more people than just the KTM riders that could win a championship, like Mr. Paul Whibley, that just did win a championship. Yeah. Another person who could possibly win a championship is, say, I don't know, a rider like Josh Strang. So if a guy like Josh Strang came back, do you think that he could win a championship, or has he just had too much time off?
No, I mean, he definitely can win. He's shown that. I think the biggest thing that Strang will have against him is the fact that, unless somebody comes along that we don't know about yet and puts money behind him. But for the most part, the big players, KTM, Yamaha, they've got their guys set for 2013, and that's probably going to be his biggest struggle, is having that kind of factory support, just in my opinion. Yeah. But can he win next year if he comes back? Most definitely.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good point, because say you look like Supercross guys. I mean, how long have those guys been testing, for Supercross? And they're 3-4 weeks out, but they've been testing for a lot longer, just in the past month. So in the sense that a lot of the KTM guys who've been on KTMs, they've been testing the KTMs. I mean, we saw Baylor making updates a good month and a half ago about trying to figure out a bike. But then, what if Josh Strang picked up some random weird deal with a company that he hasn't been on before? Then he would just be starting on that bike, say, in a month, or a week, or whatever it would be. And then, he's got, March, I guess, is the first GNCC in Florida. So, it's 3.5 months, but still, that is not very much time, because I don't think he would pick up Suzuki again. He's been riding the KTM, but KTM kind of has a full factory out east. So, he'd have to, I don't know. I like to speculate. I like rumors. I think it's fun to kind of figure out like what ifs
Oh,
and all
yeah.
that kinds of stuff. So if you had like one big rumor, one big what if, like be like, oh my goodness, this is the craziest stuff ever. Like, would there be anything particular that comes to mind that you might have read on some kind of bathroom wall or something? Anything?
Really, I hate to disappoint, but no, I can't think of anything just totally outlandish, except for you did mention Farringer on a Pegasus bike for 2013. So that might be big news, but
Hey.
you know,
Flying horses in the woods.
but yeah, I mean, really, it's been kind of quiet. We hadn't heard a whole lot of crazy stuff. I think a lot of guys are, the ones that we expect to be set are already setting their rides for next year, and it's hard to say. I read the other day Thad's already, Thad Duvall's already back with Honda with a little bit more support this year. Yamaha's got their deal done. KTM's. So I don't know. Strain could be the big, I guess, surprise for 2013, depending on what he ends up doing. I guess
If is a big if. Unfortunately, I love Josh String. He's a great dude. Got to hang out with him ISDE. I will keep throwing that out there because I did go to the ISDE this year. So sorry. But
yeah, you suck.
the unfortunate thing for everybody has to find out is that I did pay for it for myself, and I'm still paying for it, if you know what I mean. But so one of the things too that I thought was interesting while I was looking around on different bathroom walls is that I found out some interesting stuff that there may actually be more riders under the Ampro tent for next year, and they may not all be on two wheels, and that blows my mind. I didn't hear any names and all that stuff, but it was just like chip 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 chip. What? I was like, oh my gosh! So that's a fun rumor because it's just like, is it another GNCC rider? Is it another OMA rider? You know what I mean? Like it's like because the Ampro guys aren't. Is it an enduro rider? I don't know. Because Ampro isn't just at GNCCs, it's not just at Enduros, they do have some, and then Wibbly does a lot of the OMAs, so, I mean, they might be bringing somebody else there. I think that's kind of fun. So have you heard anything maybe possibly about what Ampro could be doing there? Obviously, we know that Yamaha's a big employer of you guys with your different teams and stuff like that, but what if you know anything, something like that?
Well, I did hear some rumors at Loretta's that Yamaha had actually spoke to Randy Hawkins about taking over the quad program. Will that happen? I don't know. And then as far as the other rider, I have heard that it will be a national enduro only rider. So there will be an extra rider is the rumor I'm hearing, not confirmed, but I'd say there'll be a press release on that pretty soon. From what I heard today.
Like it. Well, today is Tuesday, December 4th. So let's look forward to seeing what we can figure out coming, I guess, forward on all that kinds of stuff. We did actually, as we were talking about this, we did mention that Nick Farringer was going to be on a Pegasus. So what I thought was funny is that those were in my notes for the show and confirmed by Jason Hooper / Digital Offroad's exclusive update today on Facebook was that he is now signed with Air Group Radiant Racing. So it will be a support Husaberg ride under the Air Group Radiant tent. I think that's going to be good for Farringer. It does suck the way that the KTM team got shuffled around, which then put Bobbitt kind of on the Husaberg team, and then which pretty much left Farringer out without a ride. It's unfortunate, but as we've seen with multiple things recently, that is unfortunately the way the cookie crumbles, or maybe the off-road teams fall apart and disappear. But, so Nick Farringer, still on a Husaberg, but this time support factory. Do you think he's going to be able to come out to the National Enduros and OMAs and still put it down, or is it going to be a little less likely?
No, yeah, I think it'll be an easy transition for him. I mean, yeah, different team name, support team, but, Nick's already got his Husabergs dialed in. He's used to the bike. Yeah, I think it'll be an easy transition. I think he'll still be the Nick Farringer that we all know and love. I think he'll go out there and rock it for sure in 2013.
I do have to mention that we're getting some FaceTime again, and it's the awesomest thing ever because we're all looking up your nose right now. So you look absolutely amazing. And Man, Richard just mentioned that he's asking about Rory Mead. I haven't heard anything about Rory Mead next year. Have you heard anything? I hope he's not on a 450.
I haven't.
What Richard just said, because if he's on a 450, come on, man, he won on a two-stroke. A two-stroke hadn't won since like Nate Canny in 2008. He needs to stay on the two-stroke. What the heck? Right?
Well, he did. You talking about Rory,
yes, Rory
right?
Mead.
You just kind of in and out there. Yeah, I mean Rory was kind of backwards and forwards this year as far as from the two-stroke to the four-stroke. So yeah, I mean I would imagine. I guess he'll be back with WMR for 2013. Hadn't heard nothing from that side of the world, so I don't know.
It's an interesting point. We have not heard much from that side of the world, except for the fact that we know that Nate Canny is retiring, and then he was on Honda this year. So we'll see how that goes for him and how it's gonna proceed. Okay. So one of the things that I noticed on the interweb this past weekend, especially on Facebook, was the fact that Richard Markland was having a transplant surgery, and I believe that actually ties in a lot to a big video that you guys put out earlier in the year. So I wanted to kind of open up the floor so that you could give everybody out there a little bit of a better idea, what that was all about and how the kidney transplant went down and stuff.
Yeah, that was for the people that hadn't seen it, we'd done a video back in August, July, I believe it was, called One Last Time with John Michael Rainey. And John, he basically found out earlier this year that he's going to have a kidney transplant or go on dialysis. And it was kind of funny how it all went down and kind of wild thinking back how everything turned out, because Richard came to me, like I said, back in July, I guess it was, and he asked me about doing a video with John Michael Rainey. Well, I didn't know the backstory right away, and at first I'm sitting there thinking, John's a great kid, he's a really good sea rider, but he is a sea rider. Not that I'm all about the amateurs getting exposure, but my thoughts were, why are we going to send cameras and everything to go do this video of a sea rider? And I got ready to shoot it down. I'm sure you get people giving you ideas of what you should do and what you shouldn't do all the time with your website. And so I was about to just kind of mark it off as that. But Richard, told me the whole story, told me, what was going on, that pretty much this kid, he's raced his whole life. He was, in my opinion, John Michael had the kind of talent that we'd have eventually, if this would have never been an issue, we'd eventually seen John Michael, in the pro class at the GNCCs. Right. And so then he starts telling me the story, and John Michael will never ride again after he has this surgery, or after he goes on dialysis. So once he told me that, I was like, oh, okay, this is all making sense. I understand why, and it's a great story. So Richard actually went and filmed it himself and done a great job. That was his first time going out and filming something without me lurking over his shoulder
I'm the
and
boss. Do it to the left.
being a control freak.
It's was like, that? I'm the boss. Do it to the left.
Yeah. But so he goes and does the filming, and he brought he left out on Sunday morning, brought me all the camera equipment, everything back Sunday night. And I started watching through the tape, and dude, like, I'm sure you've seen the video. It's pretty emotional video. The stuff that didn't make it is 10 times more emotional, maybe hundreds times more emotional, because I spent 3 days editing that, and when I got through, I watched the final edit, and I was like, man, I don't know if this really gets his story across. And I think it was because I was seeing all of the, the stuff that we didn't use, and then when it went out, it just, huge positive feedback about the video. Well, the video, it goes out on the web. Hoop from Digital helped me get it out there and everything. And so we start getting emails from people. I want to be a donor. What have I got to do to be a donor? And basically, I was forwarding that information to Janine Rainey, John's mom. And lo and behold, I didn't realize, but Richard had went and done the first step, which is the blood test. Okay. And didn't know anything about it at first, and then he comes and tells me And I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, that's cool, And I really, in the back of your mind, you don't expect somebody. I mean, with the circumstances, you definitely don't expect them to be a match. Well, he gets the blood results back, and he's a match. And so then that led him into the next phase. He had to go to Charleston and do some more testing. And still in my head, I'm like, yeah, Richard ain't going to be a match. There's no way. Yeah, he ends up being almost a perfect match for John Michael. And Richard went last Wednesday. He actually left last Sunday going to Charleston and met up with the Rainies. They done the surgery on Wednesday, and I actually talked to Richard tonight, which I talk to Richard on a daily basis, but talking to him tonight, he said that the kidney, is pretty much doing perfect. I mean, it's going as planned. Everything's great. John won't have to be on dialysis anymore. Richard's doing good in his recovery. Extremely sore right now from being filleted open, but he's doing great. And dude's got a heart that's just huge, kind of like the Grinch where it blows out of the frame. That's Richard Markland's heart. It's just he's a huge, just a huge-hearted dude, and I think that shows. I mean, gave his body part to somebody, but yeah, that's kind of how it all went down, and the world needs more Richard Marklands, that's for sure.
Absolutely, man. It was definitely a situation that I had no idea about before you guys did your video. Very touching because you can turn down anything. As as a producer, as a website, contributor, as an author, as an editorial writer, at that point in time, you can say, no, I don't want to write about that. No, I don't want to do a story about that. But the thing is, it's like you saw the opportunity there for a genuine story, not a really good story, not something that's going to bring a lot of press, but at the same time, a story that needed to be told. And that is what good authors and good producers, good directors, good humans do. And I think that's why it really touched me and why I took a lot from it. Now, unfortunately, it's, I won't lie. I mean, I immediately did not think that maybe he could use my kidney. Maybe I didn't understand the problem. But I am floored to find out that not only did someone, wind up giving their kidney to help this dude out, but at the same time, it was the guy who was there filming, his segment. I mean, that is awesome. That needs to go beyond the motorcycle community. That is something that, you guys need to be on freaking, like Kelly Clarkson, or not Kelly Clarkson, with Live with Kelly, used to be Regis or whatever. I mean, that's some serious freaking awesomeness right there. And that's the kind of crap that needs to be shared.
Richard definitely, that was all Richard's doing. I mean, and I mean, like you're saying, I'm not gonna lie. For the first, little bit when I was editing, and then when I watched the video and seen there was a fleeting moment when I was sitting there thinking, I'd like to go get tested. Then I'm like, nah, I got 2 kids, I got a wife. I talked myself out of it quick, and I'm basically, I guess, a wuss if you want to call it that or whatever. But for me, I wasn't going to do it. But Richard, thank God there's people like Richard out there that stepped up and and made a difference, a huge difference.
Well, I noticed he has been in the chat room tonight, chatting it up in our little social stream. So Richard Markland, definitely, not only do we say thank you for being here with us tonight as we're talking about you and about some of the news, but thank you very much for what you did. It's a great story. We are going to have to figure out a way that we could take this and move it beyond just the moto community, because I think it should be. It's a great story. Awesome. As Bolton would say, go America, because we're awesome. Okay, I also heard some news about a new Cowie effort, which at the weird time, because of the fact that, Cowie just killed our off-road program. So I go, oh, yeah, okay, that's not going to happen. But then I found out, it's more of a shop-based Cowie program, Kawasaki, coming back to the GNCC. And then you start seeing pictures that Morgan Moss puts up. So obviously Morgan Moss is going to be on the team. But who else is on the team? I mean, I don't know if you're involved with the team, but it seems that Stickman Graphics is, which is your brother's company. If I've put my bolts in the right holes and connected some pieces. So I would think you know more about this than I do. I haven't seen any press releases or anything like that. So what is it that you do or do not know about this new Cowie effort?
Well, they're still in the building phase of this whole program, but you're right. It's a shop-based Cowie effort. They'll all be riding green next year. Morgan Moss is signed,
So that part is
but I
official.
think they're kind of doing something different with Morgan. Morgan's going to be doing what I've heard today was Morgan's going to be doing some motocross, amateur motocross like
Well, he was at
Loretta's and
Minios, right?
Minio. Well, he done
Yeah.
Minios the other day, and and he's going to do some GNCCs. What I heard today was, Robbie Horton, who rode Supercross years ago. He may be back with them next year. They're working on that right now in XC2 class. Kind of stepping back, pulling a Jesse Robinson, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And they've talked to some other riders. They've got some riders there. They talked to earlier today, and basically they're trying to get everything lined up and ready to roll for 2013. But I think it's going to be Dwayne Leonard over there at Atlas. He does a great job managing the team. He had his amateur effort this year with several riders. You had Ryan Ballou and Dylan Stout and Matthew Nix, and then Robbie Horton obviously riding XC1 a couple times the GNCCs. But he does a really good job with his programs. His riders seem to get along with him. He gets along with them. Look for big things out of that bunch. I think 2013 will be their growing year, but I look for them to keep stepping raising the bar, if you will, in their program.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're not just a fledgling team; they're an absolutely brand new team. It sounds like that it's not somebody that's been running the team for a while that's stepping in to kind of take on this new venture. This is completely new. We know that even if they have riders who are veterans, maybe still in the XC2 class like Morgan Moss is, but he's a veteran to the GNCC series, and even still he's kind of new to motocross, but he's been he's still a good rider. But when it comes to having a team manager and having people that are paying for all these bikes, paying for all these parts, you really have to figure out how everything melds together. So I think it's going to be fantastic that a shop and some other maybe investors, I'm not too sure exactly the dynamics of it, but that someone's stepping up and making this happen, because that's what needs to happen. If big factory efforts aren't going to be there, we need to find a way to get these smaller privateer things going. I can't front everybody a bike, which would be awesome. And then I would hope that they would all just race under the awesomeness of Brian Pierce. But, who's going to really want to do that, honestly? Who wants to be in my shadow? You know what I'm saying? I fart. It's horrible. It's no fun for anybody. But I'm excited. I think it's going to be fun. Okay, when it comes to GNCC and rumors for next year, do we have anything else? What do you think? Come on. Nothing?
Yeah. Trying to think off the top of my head. I don't. I do know that Frank Keegan from KR4, the guy that kind of helps UK 7 or UK
Jason
whatever his number is now. Jason Thomas. He is heading up a program next year called Ride and Arrive. We're looking to help them out with some of their media stuff for next year, and they've got a pretty cool thing going there where basically the rider will show up. They'll everything will be there for them. If you want to show up in your little Honda Civic to save on some fuel mileage, you get there. They've got everything ready for you. Also, shameless plug, my brother Stickman Graphics, I think is going to be doing all the graphics for them. So they'll have some really fresh looking bikes, stickmangraphics.com. But, that's a pretty cool deal that they've got going on over there to try to help guys that may not have, the way Frank described it to me is, you get guys that are pro riders that don't have pro backing. Well, this is a way for them to get involved with this program. These guys take care of their bikes, and they've got the same support that they would have if they were underneath, say, Ampro Yamaha tent or a factory KTM tent.
Okay.
So, pretty cool deal there.
Do you know? So, this will be a situation where is this going to cost the rider anything? Are they signing up for this and they're saying, okay, cool, we'll do this for you, as in like we'll take your bike to the races, we'll do the service on it, you will be race ready when you show up, and it's going to cost you X a year? Or is this something where they're signing on certain riders, for this program?
I think there's a mixture of both. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it is a paid program. but they are looking for, I think they're looking for some pro guys that, I don't know how it'll all
Oh,
work out as far as how much money goes across the table or whatever, but yeah, it's a paid effort, but it's, when they break the numbers down and then you look at what you would spend normally in a year, you would save some money if you're at that top level.
Significantly less for sure. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I think to get guys out there, like say like a Toby Price. Toby Price, he's won the 4-day in Australia multiple times. He was easily in the top this year. He's on the second Australian team. If that guy wanted to come over to the United States, get on a team like this, he's like, okay, cool. I'm gonna spend 10 grand. I don't know what it would be. Give these guys 10 grand, and they just take care of his bike, take care of getting everything in the races. Seems like a great deal because even though he has connections, he knows people, this may be a lot easier for him to come over, be like, here's my money, here's my bike, make it happen, and that's it. He doesn't have to do anything else. He can worry about his gear contract, his helmet contracts, and just show up to races, kick ass, and hopefully then maybe get a bigger deal.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I see as being the advantage of that, like you say, if it's 10 grand or whatever the cost is, this rider's not having to worry about prepping the bikes through the week or, all the stuff that comes along with being a privateer. And like you said, hopefully allows them the time to train, ride, whatever, in order to make it to that next level and get a factory ride. Sorry, somebody Facebooking me on the phone.
OMG. What's the deal here? Why can't people just pay it? I'm just kidding. Actually, you Facebook all you want. As long as you tag me in more awesome pictures like you did earlier, I have no problem with it. That was the best picture ever. That was from about a year and a half ago, I think.
Yeah. I actually found that in you have a seat time folder on my computer, and I pulled that out of the archives just for tonight.
Well,
so
absolutely worth it, and I am very glad that you did. So something I did see as well that I like to talk about is the GNCC season next year. It does feel very one-sided right now with the GNCC stuff, and I apologize for that. It's just like that's just some of the big news. I'm digging around a lot. That's where we find it. Loretta Lynn's is not the last race this year. They're going back to the Ironman, which has been the last for a very, very long time. I know Hoop was complaining about Loretta Lynn's, but whatever. And so, do you have anything to say about that? Are you depressed at all, or are you happy? Does it make you
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I do like going to Loretta's last round. I know it's Loretta Lynn's. It's just kind of a cool atmosphere and everything for the final round. But Ironman is really up there in Crawfordsville. That's a really cool last round too. When they were doing that 2 years ago. So. Yeah, I would prefer that Loretta's be the final round, but life goes on. It is what it is. We can live with it.
Okay. Well, again, as I've said many a times, this has been my second year to really, really in depth try to follow the GNCC series, and so, if you go 2 years back, it's been Loretta Lynn's, and then it was Ironman before that. So, unfortunately, what I've known has been last bit. Woo, that's cider. Making me gassy. Excuse me. Man, I look like an idiot, but that happens all the time, so I'm used to it. So I'm kind of like, oh man, Hurricane Mills, Loretta Lynn's not happening at the end of the year. But, everybody else seems really excited about it. I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be fun. Hopefully I get to go to a lot more this year. And I look forward to seeing a little bit of change, if nothing else from my perspective. So the National Enduro Series, they're getting bigger, getting a little bit stronger, putting things out. It looks like they're changing a couple things this year. One of the big things is their number format. So typically you'd see, you'd finish ninth, say like Cole Kirkpatrick did one year. You'd be on row 29. Finish first, you're on row 21. Well, they're kind of changing that up for this year. You would be on that row for the full year. So they're changing it up so where if you were to finish second at the first race, then you would then be on row 22 for your second race. Or and the top 15 guys overall, including the A class from the year before, have to be pro, and you have to ride on row 21 through 35. After that, if you are then elevating yourself to the pro class, you start at 36 and go back. I don't know, man. I think telling people that if they're in the top 15, you have to ride pro, A little presumptuous. Obviously, I mean, if you were to say top 10, sure, great, yeah, do it. But I honestly think that there could be a couple guys that are in the A class. They might like to go to all the races, but they just don't want to be in the paying class. It costs more to race as a professional. The class entries are more because they have a purse. So telling people to do that, almost, I don't know. I didn't really dig the way it was worded, if maybe nothing else. And then as well, I think that if you were to say, hey, you know, you did really good last round. You know, you started on row 36. You maybe should be in the mid-20s. I would like to give you the option to then have your fourth pick of what row you want to be on, not say you are now on row 24. Look how Stuart Baylor did from row 36 this past year. Won the National Enduro Championship. So, I mean, those are kind of some of my immediate takeaways from when I was reading that kind of stuff. So, I know you've seen the press release. I know that you might have had time to think about it. You know, so what are your thoughts? Anything kosher with you? What do you think?
I kind of like it.
That's fine. Mean, you can hate on
got
my
a lot of.
That's okay. That's fine. You can shit on
what
my
I like
parade
about it is,
all you want.
What I like about it is the fact that you're taking the top 15 guys and kind of pushing them into that pro class. I see what you're saying, but I also like the fact that you know, it builds the class. You know, it puts more pros in there, and instead of just becoming, you know, kind of like GNCC does towards the end of the season, where XC1's got like, I don't know, it seems like there's 2 guys in it, but you know, really it gets down to like 9 guys on the front row. But I like the 15, the top 15. You know, I could take it or leave it. I do like the way they're doing the rows. I mean, Stu done awesome from 36 this year, but I like the thought of allowing these guys to kind of rotate. It'll be interesting to see if it makes any differences this year. Absolutely. So, and then, you know, you got some people that are head cases that move them back. You know, if they get moved back to say row 28 and they've been on 22, you know, that could really weigh into the points or whatever towards the end of the season and the way they ride. So, I don't know. I like it. I don't think it's a bad thing. Yeah. At all.
I almost think I've raced enduros my whole life. I mean, that is weirdly what I knew first and still what I love to do to this day. I've moved up from being the mini rider all the way to the AA class in TSEC, and now that I have spent a couple years there, I will now be moved back down to the A class, which I'm more than okay with at this point. Those guys are freaking crazy, but I would almost say, having been on row 23 for 3 years in TSEC, that if you're going to do something on a national level, don't let anybody that's not at least a B rider or doing the long course in the 21 through 36 category. That is going to make a big difference, because if nothing else, if you're going to be in that category, you're 9 times out of 10 going to know how to race an enduro. And when somebody is up behind you and you can hear another bike, they're coming to pass you, and you know that they're on the row behind you, and they're trying to get in front of you because they're facing the clock, not you. Now, you do have a lot of guys that ride with their friends who are in the A class. They do a great job. They get in there, they get out of the way. I mean, I've done it. I was on 18 and I got past an umpteen amount of time at national enduros by 21, 22, 23. I hear a bike, I hear somebody yelling, I get off the damn trail, because if nothing else, I'm gonna get run over, and that would suck for everybody, because my back would be nowhere near be as sexy. So, I don't know. It's just kind of like another weird. I don't know. It's weird. It's interesting. I like to talk about that stuff, so it's fun. So, I mean, I don't know.
That's what we're here for, to talk about it. So,
make shit
but I don't know. Yeah, I kind of do like what you're saying there. You know, maybe take the B guys, C guys. I guess that's what you was getting at. Take them and don't allow them to be in that block of rows where the pro guys are at.
Nothing else, at least only
I can see
long
that.
Course riders, maybe. You know, if you
what was that
if
again?
you were to say maybe just long course riders, so you know you're not going to have any C guys that are long course riders, but you're going to have some A guys, which maybe are in the age category, and some B guys who are in an age category, or they're just in a like a super short kind of class where they're not going to need to be with the pro riders. They might want to be on the row with frickin' Russell Bobbitt just because it's cool, but that them being able to be on his row because it's cool is going to screw up his race way more than it would be if they're having a bunch of guys who know how to race an enduro, which I know it sounds dumb and it sometimes can be, but I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there that they don't get the concept of, if you hear somebody behind you, they've caught you, they're ahead of you, move over, get out of the way. You've got so many guys, they'll do the look back and do everything they can to try to stay in front of you. But yeah, those guys need to be row 64, row 92, whatever. Move them on back.
Get just as good of a ride, closer to the 40s, or in front of. They can be there, but it's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm gonna have fun. You're gonna have fun. We're gonna keep moving forward. One of the people out there who likes to always have fun, Fly Racing. You know how they like to have fun? They sponsor shows like this, Seat Time. They sponsor websites like Daniel Engle's, offroadviking.com. So what you want to do, flyracing.com, you want to go check them out. And you want to support those guys because of the fact that they support guys like us. They make sure that the little things in life that we want to do to have fun, this isn't my main job. It might be Daniel's, but this is something I do for fun. And they see that and they know that they want to be a part of this. And I would hope that people out there would feel genuine enough, America, go Bolt On, would want to support that. So check them out, flyracing.com. They got all kinds of new stuff for 2013, which has been out since it feels like 2012, but it still is. So just go check them out. They're my best friends, and they could be your best friends. And I think that is a friendship worth making. So it's not the worst time. Okay, economies, series, and pro purses is a little bit of where I was going with different thoughts in my head when we were talking earlier. And we've had teams pull out, we've had riders get dropped, all that kinds of weird stuff. And I was looking at some of the breakdowns for the GNCC racers. And again, it was just the more accessible pro purse. I tried to get in touch with the J-Day guys. I tried to get in touch with Works guys, OMA, and the National Enduro. Unfortunately, I did not get emailed back in time, but Jen Kenyon over at Racer Productions, she hit me back right immediately, so it was awesome. They start at $1,000, and they work their way down to 15th place. The last 5 get $100 in the XC1 class, and then, of course, $1,000, and it works its way down from there till 10th place. 11th through 15th get $100. XC2, it's like 600, 500, 400, and then it's like $50 for 6th place in the XC2. If an XC2 were to finish in the overall podium, he would then gain an extra allotment of money. I don't remember the exact amount of money. So that's what we're working with when it comes down to pro purses. Now, that's not obviously including salaries, budgets, bonuses, any kinds of things like that riders would get. But, we're talking about all those kinds of stuff. Does that seem like fair amount of money to you for these guys to be getting? Or, do we think that something, that maybe there needs to be some changes there for more riders wanting to come out, so then our rider numbers get bigger and more teams develop?
Yeah, it's one of those things, I would like to see the pros making, in off-road, making a heck of a lot more money. I don't think that it 100% lies upon the series responsibilities. I don't think that, GNCC, for instance, is completely responsible for making sure these guys make an income. But when you go to New York at Unadilla this year and you see the crowd we had up there, and the race didn't even get started until 3 o'clock, it's kind of like, yeah, they could probably afford to put a little bit more than $1,000 on the top spot. But that's something that's their call on that. I think what really needs to happen with the pro guys is people need to start thinking outside of the box, kind of in a NASCAR. This is kind of jumping away from the subject, I guess. But
I want to know exactly what you're about to say, so say it.
What they need to do, in my opinion, which may be totally wrong, but what I think needs to happen is these guys need to quit relying on the KTMs, the Yamahas, the Kawasaki's, whoever, the factories, or even the FMFs or whoever, to pay their salary. It's almost like these teams need to get in a NASCAR mindset, and I know it's tough because the media coverage is so limited at an off-road event, but if we could start finding outside sponsors that aren't moto related or off road related, because if I'm FMF, am I going to dump a bunch of money into a series? Probably not from a company standpoint, because I'm selling product. And do I need to put more money into it to sell that product? No. Just like you see tons of KTMs, tons of Yamahas out there, these people are going to buy that product. So I think what needs to happen is, like, companies need to be brought in that have like a similar market, like say some type of hunting company or something that sells, I don't know, bows and arrows or guns or whatever, archery equipment. They need to be involved with the team to where, you guys that race off road, they're probably going to be into deer hunting. They're going to be into outdoorsy stuff, and it don't necessarily have to be that, but finding similarities to where it entices a company to come in and be involved, and then grow it from that.
Right.
I think it needs to go that route.
Okay. I'm going to take notes. I'm going to leave the video on you for a second. I'm going to take notes and comment on exactly what you're saying. So I want to clarify, though, with one of the things that you said was that you said that you thought it should be the riders, and I'm not judging. I'm just clarifying. You said that you thought it should be the riders' job to maybe find sponsors for them. Outside of, say, maybe just the bike, they're looking for outside of the industry sponsors that could be, things to fill the gap. Maybe they're riding a Yamaha, they're getting $10,000, whatever that little weird spot is. But then, they've got their 5 other main sponsors. Maybe that's $8,000 a piece. So then they're making whatever that lump sum is. Is that kind of clarify a little bit
similar,
more
but not necessarily putting it on the rider.
Okay, well, clarify that just a little bit more.
Maybe the team aspect of it.
Okay, so that's more of that would be something maybe. So we're thinking. I'm trying to pick a small team right off the top of my head, but KR4. This is before I just found out. That say they're not doing the program they're doing next year, so it's more on them, which I agree, to find some of those outside the industry sponsors. But what does a team like KR4 do when they go to those outside the industry sponsors? Now, obviously, I think you're absolutely correct that, hey, we're going to the GNCC races. On Saturday, they have four-wheeling racing. So typically, most of the guys that are going to be out there on the weekend are going to be off-road guys, which might be hunting guys, which are going to be people that, let's see if we can get Cabela's or a big, the Bass Pro Shops and things like that. What entices them to then sponsor a low-level team like a KR4 versus a KTM who's not going to partner with a Cabela's?
Well, one thing, they've got the XC2 championship. I'm not saying this would be an easy sale at all. It'd be a very difficult one. But, if I'm KR4, I go and present.
I'm not telling you you're wrong. I just want to think, I again want to think outside the box on that, because maybe somebody's listening that doesn't know how to do it, and we might give them any ideas, or we might tell them we're dumb for thinking it. So that's fine either way.
Yeah, and I think you present first. Hey, if I'm KR4, we've got Jason Thomas. He just won XC2 championship. And then you have to go and find websites like mine, yours, Hoops, Verb Offroad, GNCC. Get all of your media together, present that to them. Here's the kind of media exposure you get. Here's then NBC Sports airs. Hooper does the edit for those guys on the GNCC show. NBC Sports airs the races. You use that kind of stuff. And like I say, this is all just kind of maybe nonsense floating around in my head, but
I love it.
May not pan out.
The biggest thing that I love to brainstorm, and I think the best thing about brainstorming is dumb ideas, because when you take 10 dumb ideas, you find one extremely good idea. Or, you could even, in brainstorming, you can find, one horrible idea, but 9 semi-really good ones, and then those semi-9 good ones become one absolutely amazing idea. I want this sport to grow. I do not want this sport to go anywhere. And so when it comes down to this kind of stuff, I think that if people are having trouble thinking outside the box, we could do it for them. I'm not saying they are, but it seems like it, and that's okay. Everybody gets stuck in a rut, and I think that we're fairly intelligent people. I like to say that. Look at me. Hey. But so it's fun. So going back to the kind of commenting downright on the hunting aspect of it, I again completely agree with maybe like a Cabela's or like a Bass Pro Shop. I was gonna go and bring up, say like the Camel Supercross, or like when some of the adult beverage sponsors used to be adult beverage companies used to be big sponsors of, say, like a Supercross. Where did that go? When did the responsibility go to the promoters to not pick people that are willing to give them money to promote their series, and to make it bigger and make it better? When did the responsibility become on the promoters to make sure that kids didn't drink alcohol? In that weird relationship.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying I agree, disagree, either way. I can tell you my opinions if those are needed. But, what do you think about that? Like, do you see a need or not a need for industry sponsors like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be great to see an open door to where you get some bigger sponsors coming in, if it is alcohol or if it is tobacco, whatever. But on the flip side, I can see where a GNCC or a J-Day or somebody like that may be uncomfortable with going, even though they might be okay with the brand itself, they might not be comfortable with associating it to their series. And even though it's not a series sponsor, from the outside looking in, if you're walking through Pro Row, you're seeing that kind of stuff, especially here in the Southeast, alcohol is kind of taboo to an extent. It's one of those things where people act like they don't drink, but they do. And I could see how that would deter a GNCC from wanting to have that. And then obviously your tobacco products, man, there's such a campaign against that stuff. And, not saying that I'm for tobacco products being used, but whatever. But, there's such a push nationwide and a taboo on the tobacco products now. I don't see any series touching that with a 10-foot pole, saying, "Hey, well, let's bring Camel back in like they used to be back in the day," or a cigarette brand or a tobacco brand. It's kind of a shame in a way, but I can understand why they wouldn't allow those. From their perspective, why they wouldn't want to allow those different sponsors to come in.
Okay. All valid points. Completely agree. I do not support a nicotine habit. I don't. I think it's disgusting. I did it for a couple years after, through college and after, and I don't know what I was thinking, social, whatever. But our good friend at Fly Racing just sent me a note about possible energy drink type stuff, and I have to say it's interesting because there are no regulations on energy drinks, yet energy drinks now, there are no regulations on energy drinks, yet energy drinks are very large sponsors of not almost all, but of a large portion of all of our mainstream sports in this motorsports, in the Supercross and the motocross and things like that. They've been at Loretta Lynn. They are kind of showing up on a lot more of the off-road series and stuff like that. So how many heart attacks have those caused? Where's the research on that kind of stuff? It's to say that that's not a bad push, for our kids. Again, completely, speculation on that sense. But I mean, are we doing our kids any favors? Thinking, oh my God, they're having 6 Red Bulls, but they're not having any beer. It's like an upper and a downer. But still, is there kind of any thoughts on energy drinks and what they've been doing?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. It's what's socially acceptable right now.
Okay.
We might find 10 years from now that energy drinks was a really stupid idea, which they probably are, and I'm probably one of the worst addicted to them, but yeah, at that point, you might see that happen with them. Right now, they're socially acceptable. Camel cigarettes, not so much. So, and I think and on the surface, like I said, everybody likes to act like the alcohol stuff wouldn't be socially acceptable. I guess, which is kind of weird though, because NASCAR uses Budweiser, whoever,
a ton of adult beverage sponsors,
and.
Yeah.
yeah. So I guess GNCC, they promote such a family style atmosphere. I guess that might be where that comes from. I don't know.
Yeah, it is interesting. I'm not the big brain that's going to figure it out. I think it's going to take a lot of small talks like this to kind of come up with maybe one or two really good ideas. We'll hit the right people up. We'll send off our ideas, and if they listen to us, they do. We might get a high five or a pat on the back. If nothing else, we'll definitely get to look up your nose as your camera goes back to your face.
Doing the zoom in.
That's okay.
Again.
Because
let's try to fix that.
Hey man, I think it's awesome. Every time I get to see up your nose, it's still there. So, I think it's going to be interesting. There's been a lot of talk recently on, say, like the DMXS show, on the Pulp MX show. Got to listen to a lot of those recently. It's a very hot topic, even in the supercross and motocross realm, where everybody thinks that people are making millions of dollars, which, sure, there's a couple of people that are, but there's a lot of people that aren't, a lot of people trying to find jobs, things like that. So some kind of weird balancing act needs to happen. Maybe there's certain people that need to realize they're not worth what they think they are. Maybe there's certain people that need to realize their career is not gonna get where they thought it was gonna get, that no matter how much hard work you put in, you're only going to get so good. I don't know. It's a tough call, and I don't want to make it for anybody else, but at the same time, it's kind of a weird, sticky situation, and I want us to find a way out of it. So, you go make a buttload of money. We're just going to start a series, and we're going to pay everybody. What do you think?
It's kind of chopped in and out there, so I don't know if that was a question or. My audio's going in and out again, so I'm just going to say, yes. I'm with Brian Pierce.
All right, Daniel,
whatever Brian Pierce says, I'm with that guy.
Daniel Engle's going to go make a lot of money, and he's going to pay for everybody to race. Jared Bolton, you should go pick out your new bike. Okay, one of the things coming up is going to be, strangely enough, the 2013 Super Enduro Series is going to start this weekend, which is still 2012 in Poland. I think that's kind of interesting. But, hey, I'm not the one who's setting the timetable in Europe, so I guess they can pick whatever they want to do, and they're going to choose to start 2013 a couple weeks early. So Super Enduro is taking place. We do know that David Knight is supposed to be there on his new Hondas and his little team. Tadej Blazusiak has now flown home. He will be there as well, along with other big names like Zig Graham Jarvis's and a lot of guys that compete on the World Enduro Championship. So those are big names. Tadej Blazusiak just won the Endurocross title in the States. Do you think that there's any competition for him in Europe when they bring it down to a little bit different style of Endurocross racing?
Yeah, I mean, Europeans are retarded fast for whatever reason. So yeah, I think David Knight can definitely compete with Taddy. Maybe, hopefully, so it won't be boring. Right. But Taddy's unreal. He's got crazy skills, and so that'll be something to watch and see if anybody can actually step up and give him a run for his money, if you will.
I can't help but laugh because of the fact that we get to zoom in on your face some more as you give us high fives. I'm just gonna. It's not that I'm calling you out. It's just that I have to bring attention to the fact. Okay, so Mr. Daniel Engle, I am gonna give you the floor because I appreciate all that you have done for us here tonight. It has been a load of fun. I love doing this kind of stuff, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule, out of your life. I know you have a wife and kids and a job to do, so I do as well. I'm going to get back to that hopefully tomorrow after I sleep a little. But where can people find you on the internet? Where can they tweet you real hard? Where can they give you the money on Facebook? All that kinds of fun stuff.
Well, the website is at Offroad_Viking. Facebook, we're Offroad Viking Racing. And we're on Instagram. Of course, I have screwed that up. It's actually under my name, even though we use it for the website, but it's under Danny Engle on Instagram.
Yes.
But yeah, that's and obviously www.offroadviking.com. So that's where we be.
Love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, if you thought anything on this evening's video cast, live showing, maybe you're on Stitcher, I don't know, maybe even still use iTunes because you still love Apple, thought that was remotely funny, please go to seattime.co. That is the website where all of these shows are archived. They live. You can find us. You can talk to us there. I mean, not really like physically, but still, you can find all our shows. You can watch them and support us there. If you happen to be a Facebook junkie, facebook.com/seattime. Easily, you can find us there. I'm a Facebook junkie. I'm there all the time. You Facebook us real hard. We'll Facebook you hard real back. But if you happen to be even one of those worst Twitter junker, whatever, one of those people that are on Twitter way too much, you can tweet us at seattime_co. So it's twitter.com/seattime_co if you need to do that. So I leave it to you now, Mr. Daniel Engle, to leave us with maybe any fine words that you have for this evening.
Nothing really, but it did make me think. I like the idea Elliot had a few weeks ago with the hacking with the hashtag deal on Twitter. So I'm all promoting that now. Anytime there's an event, you should hashtag it with Instagram pictures, whatever. So, but besides that, it's all good. Had fun. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man. It's going to have to happen again, I think, sometime in the near future. Once we get all this racing going back on and we kind of like get to stop speculating, which, you know, actually we'll probably always keep speculating about what's going to happen. But we'll have results. We'll have all kinds of fun stuff going on. It's going to be a good year. I look forward to it. Remember, this is Seat Time. It may not be the best time, but it's here. And we're on the internet. And we like you. It's always a pint full of awesome. Be safe. We love you. Be responsible. I mean, we might love you, but still. Peace.